notes for my July 2026 reading of The Rat Began to Gnaw the Rope by C.W. Grafton. Today is Tuesday, 28 July 2026, and here I, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, talk through my book and reading notes for my July 2026 reading of a book about a young lawyer called in to work on a financial evaluation and ends up included in trying to figure out active murders. The Rat Began to Gnaw the Rope by Cornelius Warren Grafton, 1943. Initial publishing, the 2020 Poisoned Pen Press edition paperback, ISBN in the video description. I started the book on Friday, 24 July 2026 and finished the book on Tuesday, 28 July 2026. It was 280 pages through the About the Author section. It took me 5 days of reading. 10 pages Friday, 24 July, 30 pages Saturday, 25 July, 20 pages Sunday, 26 July, 120 pages Monday, 27 July, 100 pages Tuesday, 28 July. That is the date I am filming this. So I think I read this by choice for a tracked reading list when I was growing up. I might have been like 13 or 14 years of age. It is, I took these are some of my notes. If you want the rating, I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. So let's go with the kind of the style, writing style. It is a high frequency of turnover by scenery type book. Short chapters with consistency of characters and pacing / action communicated with setting and physical items change. It has excruciating detail that communicates great meaning in a few number of words / concise verbal representation of concept in a graphic manner via words. Am I the rat gnawing because I'm struggling merely to describe the writing style, much less the plot of the book? So there are a number of characters, and it takes a little bit to kind of like settle into the plot. So it was like 60 to 80 pages. It kind of started settling in to it. From my perspective, for some people it might have been earlier or later, or about the same. The rat is a reference to the culprit of killings needing to be bigger than a rat, a rodent. So like kind of like observational and being like, well, something bigger than a rat would need to do this. Also about abandonment in the face of difficulty. Does it swim away or stay on a sinking ship like a rat? And then also about a rat that gnaws a rope that sets off a linked chain of events in text. Nursery rhyme reference. Same rat utility invoked later when a character is trying to figure out how to get out of a rope he is tied up in. So, like, essentially, the rat is kind of a there's something the character is trying to figure out, and the rat is invoked in a number of places to kind of like get out of maybe like thinking out of the box of like, well, what can we figure out in relation to like just a rat, kind of thing. So the plot, short synopsis is: a young lawyer is called in to consult / evaluate finances and ends up included in the attempt to understand and solve active murders. His legal literacy turns out to be of use in the navigating the will and testament component of particular deaths. The author makes effective use of drawing this reader, me, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, in by highlighting sensory components of the investigations, such as the color and texture of egg yolks. Yes. So essentially there's this lawyer, he's called in, so he's pretty young in his career, and then it's for kind of financial stuffs, and then there are these murders, and so he gets kind of caught up in it and is part of the action and that kind of thing. And it's really about taking since he's early on in his career and he's a lawyer, taking what his background is in and then being like, well, there are these murders that I got drawn into. How do I use what I have and is in my background and is like in his arsenal, so to speak, to kind of fight and grow his own expertise while still, helping with figuring out the murders. And so he kind of focuses on the will and testament component of the deaths, which is itself a legal document or documents. So there we go. There's a note by the author towards the end about so it was initially published in 1943 during World War II. And so it kind of has like a, call to arms in terms of fighting for a greater cause. And so for him, it was kind of like, it came across as like, so that's kind of like what the lawyer is doing, right? Is taking what he has in his arsenal, his background, and applying it to what he's given. So it was kind of a call to that a bit. And so the lawyer is avoiding being a fool, another way of phrasing it, by focusing on what he knows and seeing if he can expand that knowledge base. And I was like, is there anything I avoid being a fool in or try not to be a fool in? So my Elvis Presley kind of like steamrollered me perhaps when I was like 16. He make me Tanis Presley, and I've been struggling to like put the pieces together because it was sleepwalking mode, and so I like don't know how to bring that into waking mode. I'm just like healthy there is a good one that kind of always keeps me woke in relation to my Elvis Presley is, why does he do drugs? Because he's smarter than me and he can. Is a little bit of that of he's still ahead of me even if he does drugs, kind of thing, when he does drugs. That kind of spirit there. So pulling on my own wit to be like, and I still continue to pull together the shreds of us females through history to be like, and how do I describe this or communicate this, even just on basic surname stuff. So there we go. These are notes for my July 2026 reading of The Rat Began to Gnaw the Rope by C.W. Grafton.